Manager.
All right. Well, first of all, thank you all for attending tonight. My name is Troy Nagel. I'm the Assistant County Manager who's kind of overseeing the development of the strategic plan. The idea is to really create a 5, 10, 20-year plan for the county. In the years past, we've always had a 5-year CIP, which is our capital projects, and we do a 1-year budget. And now we're trying to really look forward to 5 years, 10 years. What does the county look like 20 years from now? And put together a plan that the commissioners can use and adopt to kind of guide where we're going. So tonight will be very interactive. Peyton Bailey from UF and Gabrielle Gunn from our Community Social Services Department will be kind of facilitating. Before we get started, Howard Wanamaker, our county manager, let him say a few words.
Thank you, Troy.
Yep.
I know you're used to applause.
No, not at all. Listen, good evening, everyone. I'm so happy that you're here. In fact, Mr. Clemens, it's been great to see you again. You was here for a second time, and hopefully it was that good. And yes, yep, I forgot both of you were here. Thank you, Troy. So most importantly, think about where Clay County should be, in your opinion, 20 years from now. Like, what do you want to see? What do you like most about it? What do you want us to focus on as we progress forward? Oh, come on in. And so looking at this, and I've thought about this from the last engagement that we've had too. We always plan 5 years out, and we do it through CIP, capital improvement projects. And I call them the big muscle movers, the heavy lifts. And so what are we looking at for that? I asked Troy to push that out to 10 years. So can you imagine, like, you're trying to do a budget 10 years from now? We don't even know what tomorrow's really going to bring, right, on things. But we do our best estimate and best guess. But I'm a firm believer of habits for success. It's just like anything. Any great organization that's out there, you name it, they have a rhythm, they have a focus, they have a vision, they have a mission, right? And with that long-range planning, what are those habits for success to get us there? And that's what we're doing today. Come on in. That's what we're doing today, is to really get your input, okay? And we also learned, like, if you have questions, it's really, we want to hear from you, but if you have questions, we'll answer them, and offline. And you may say, well, why Dr. Beatty and Gabrielle Gunn? Why? They're facilitators. They're trained facilitators. They have certification in that, and they're going to get you to think, they're going to get you to speak, and they're going to get you to put stickies on a board, and they're going to get you to kind of focus in on a particular area. Eric's back here from Northeast Florida Regional Council. Eric, please stand up. So we've also partnered, because how are you successful without not understanding what your neighbors are doing, right? What's St. John's doing? What's Duval doing? What's Nassau doing? What's Flagler doing? So, Eric, you're good to go. Any comments, Eric?
No, I completely agree with you. I'm a regionalist by nature, that you have to know your counterparts, your neighbors, to have your best plan for yourself as well. So
thank you.
I believe that.
And so, with that, they've already done, Jack's USA did a strategic plan. It's got a lot of great data. They've also compiled other strategic plans that are out there together. So they're just some ideas. The most important thing is tonight, and what you all think in your ideas of what you want to see 20 years. Does that make sense? Now, if you have specific questions, we'll write them down. We'll either get you the answer tonight, or we'll re-engage with you at a later time on that. And so that's how we've been operating on that. Is it? Yeah. And so, and by the way, I'm going to step out because I don't want to influence you in some way, because I have my reasons of why I'm here. Okay. Why I retired from the Navy here, why my family wanted to settle down here, and that, I don't want to influence you. Maybe I usually gave you one item last time, I gave it again, quality of life. Okay, I just throw that out there. Big term, big thing on it, but looking at it, and it was also, my wife said, yeah, I'm tired of moving, and we're not going anywhere. Right? So, but there's those short terms, but long term, this is the place where my family is, and I'm getting my kids back here too. So I'm going to say nothing more about that. There'll be some more about that, as you try to plan things out with that. But are there any initial questions for me? Nothing. All right. can't wait to see what the date's back. And ma'am, I offer
I was gonna say.
Yep, and Dr. Burks, your commissioner here, and so we'll give her an opportunity to talk and to see what she thinks. And it's hard, within the county too. We want to be different. Okay, it's great that we have the regional stuff, but we're Clay County. What makes us great? And then with inside Clay County, we have districts. So ma'am, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Okay, so we are here for District 5, the best district there is. Okay, so of course I live in District 5, and I have my own reasons of what I want, things of what I want, and yes, I'm going to be here, and I do want to sway your, but I'm not going to. I've already been instructed, I'm not allowed to. But anyway, I am always available for y'all to call me and text me. I do have to leave a little bit early to go to another meeting, so just know that you can always get in touch with me, and I will get the answers for you if I don't know it. And I will tell you, I don't know if y'all know, but we have an amazing staff. We actually really do, and they move on stuff as fast as we ask. I always want it to go faster, of course, but but for the most part, especially District 5. And District 5, of course, we have the fastest growth happening. Some of us are okay with it. Some of us are like, please, can we slow down a little bit? And we have slowed down, actually. We have a moratorium in place right now. I don't know if y'all know that. But we're trying to deal with what we have, and the road projects are coming, and that's very exciting. I'm so excited about that. So that'll be happening within the next year. So anyway, thank y'all for coming, and I'm excited. I'm really excited to hear about what y'all come up with. So good.
So a few things before we get started. Peyton's going to go over the ground rules because we do have ground rules for tonight. One thing is, you heard Commissioner say it, we're not going to answer questions. If you have a question about something, we may have time at the end, if the Commissioner's still here, or if it's something that I can answer. But tonight's really about the strategic plan. If you have questions at the end, we have a card that we'll have you fill out. My commitment to you is whatever questions you put on those cards, we will have you an answer back within a week. My staff, the communication staff, will work with the rest of the county staff to get answers to whatever questions you have. But that's not the intent for tonight. It's not a town hall. It's to build a strategic plan. So, on that note, Ms. Katie.
All right. Just another couple housekeeping things before we get started. I know Troy introduced us, but again, my name is Peyton Beatty. I am a community development extension agent with UF-IFAS Extension, and
Gabrielle Gunn, Director of Community and Social Services.
And we'll be facilitating our discussion tonight. If you need the restroom, it is out these doors to the right, and then around the corner again to the right as well. We did give you a name sign, so if you go ahead and talk, can you just raise your name sign so we can address you by name, okay? That's just so that we don't have to yell at you very rudely. We want to be able to talk to you like we're having a conversation. We do have a couple of group agreements. These are some that we came up with, but you're welcome to add any others. We are going to be hard on the issue tonight, not necessarily the person. The next thing too is keep an open mind. The third thing is make sure we're making space for everybody. So if you feel like you are talking a lot, if you could go ahead and make space for somebody else to share their opinion. We really wanted to be able to hear from all of you, not just a certain couple of you. And then we'll ask one person to speak at a time. So if a couple of you raise your sign, I'll go ahead and kind of like stack you so that you know that I see you and that we will get to you in just a second, okay? Is there any other group agreements that we want to kind of add to this, how we want to kind of coexist tonight together in our discussion? Can we all agree that we'll do these things together tonight for this conversation?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. What we're going to do is we're going to start off with a small question that we're going to ask everybody to answer. It's really not hard, it's not a test or anything like that. And then we'll move into our main discussion, which is where we'll spend most of our time tonight. And then we'll go ahead and wrap up our discussion after that. So we will definitely get you out of here by 7:30. If you want to stay longer, you're welcome to do that. Okay. If you didn't get a comment card, they look like this. They're green. If you didn't get one, raise your hand and we'll get you one. You can use this to either ask questions or leave a comment on the backside. If you have a question or a comment that you want addressed or answered, you need to make sure that you put your contact information on the front half, okay? And then we get those to Troy, and then Troy gets answers to you, okay? So if you ask a question in tonight's meeting, I will ask you to make sure you have that on your comment card, okay? So that we make sure that we're spending time really focused on our discussion here tonight. Okay, does anybody have any questions before we go ahead and get started? About the strategic plan, about the process? Is there one? Okay. Did I miss anything? Good, all right. I'm gonna go ahead and turn it over to Gab so she can go ahead and get us started.
Okay. You didn't want to talk anything else about the education piece, right? Okay. All right, so we are gonna, is this loud enough for you, sir? Okay, great.
Oh, I forgot about that part. We're gonna have to get you to talk through the microphone so that the recording can pick it up as well.
Or
But
talk
he
really
can hear me.
loud.
Yeah, okay. All right, so for the first question, I'm gonna give you a couple of seconds to think about your answer, and then we're gonna go around the room and let every single person answer. The question for today is, what is your favorite thing about Clay County? One favorite thing. We're gonna go around the room. You have about 10 seconds to answer. Each person is gonna be called upon to answer the question. And so the first question is, what is your favorite thing about Clay County?
I have a question.
Yes, Joe.
About Clay County or about Green Cove Springs, District 5?
Clay County in general. It can be Green Cove or it can just be Clay County at large.
Because there's some things about Clay County that aren't great,
And we'll talk about that later on in the
but
discussion.
there are some things about Green Cove and District 5 that are very nice.
Okay, would you like to share one of those things?
Spring Park?
Okay, great. Spring Park. Thank you. Pam?
That's what I was gonna say.
Oh, you gotta find a different one. Do you have another one?
Come back to you.
That's fine.
Paul?
Living at our air park.
What was that?
Living at our air park.
Okay.
Is that Howler?
Yeah.
Okay. So Howler Airport.
I don't know what it is.
We're all Hallerites.
Walt, was it? Oh,
Just
Andy.
just that it's a nice, small community, sorry. I thought you were pointing at me. I
No, it's fine,
apologize.
Pam. Small community atmosphere?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Walter?
I'm going to say the people.
Okay,
It was just a small community.
great. Okay, people? Anything specific about the people?
Friendliness,
Friendliness, okay, thank you.
generally.
Della?
I'm a realtor,
Okay,
and I can sell people homes with USDA financing with no money down. And when I tell them that, they flock here,
okay,
and they go to the closing without a penny that they need.
okay.
Is that because of the area that we're in? Because
The
they fall-
USDA,
Okay.
not, Orange Park is not, but Green Cove is, and Keystone.
Okay,
So I just tell them, drive 7 more minutes, and you'll be happier,
okay,
and you will have a low note and no out-of-pocket financing.
okay, thank you. Ryan,
I'd say the, no change up this time.
please.
I'll say the opportunity for outdoor recreation.
Okay, thank you. Oh,
Sally.
Sally.
The library.
Okay, what was your name?
It's Kyla, but I was the
You can
reporter.
share. We would like from the young generation.
I see the school district.
Okay, Chris? Rich.
Rich?
Yes, Rich. Sorry, Chris.
Say, for me, overall, as a retiree, I think things are pretty affordable,
Okay,
with the exception of the price of housing, which I've been following.
okay.
I don't know how anybody can afford these houses
I
today.
understand. I get that. And we'll talk about that later.
It's to to me, it's, the price of those houses, new houses going up, you're either a drug dealer or a lawyer.
Okay, thank you, Rich. We're just gonna talk about the things we like about Clay right now. Chris. Chris.
I'm gonna go with River Light.
River Light, okay, thank you. Dana,
So mine was sense of community, but I think that was already given. So,
do you have another one?
the opportunity for growth as we've opened a business, but you don't need to talk about the business, but just that opportunity for people to come in here and create a life and create an income.
Okay.
And the support.
Okay, great. Inviting.
Mhm.
Inviting,
Supporting.
Okay,
Opportunity for business growth, is that correct?
Yes.
inviting to the community.
That was my chamber.
Did you?
You don't have to.
No. Okay. Yes, sir, what is your name?
Lee Wardlaw.
Would you like to participate with us today?
I'm kind of observing, but if I come up with something, I'll let you know.
Okay, we're just saying our favorite thing about Clay. Did you want to add anything? What's your favorite thing about Clay County?
I like the agricultural
Okay.
part and like the pine tree and rural part.
Okay,
And
great.
the fish ponds.
Thank you. That's right up your alley, baby. All right, did anyone else want to share anything else about what your favorite thing is about Clay County?
It's clean.
In what sense?
Well, I'm from Louisiana, so maybe that doesn't really count.
Okay, Della.
So when I first came here, I didn't mean to buy a house. I accidentally bought a house.
Okay.
And then I told my husband and asked him if he wanted to move. And I just I saw the spring park, I saw the brick streets. I was like, this is too adorable. Then I found a haunt of a house with gorgeous trees and I bought it.
Okay. Wow, that's nice. So
Yeah, then I restored it.
a clean lifestyle, is that?
There's no cigarette butts everywhere.
Environmentally?
Yeah. It looks like somebody's been cleaning the streets.
Oh, great.
You know, we're in Louisiana.
Okay. Ryan, did you want to add to some of that? You had a lot to say last week.
Yeah, I have something to add.
Yes, Dana.
I love, we talk about the small community, but I love, even though we're growing, we are still somewhat of a small community, but we have access to all the big community things around us. Between the beach and the downtown and, it's all right here, but it's
Quick
not.
access.
Yes, correct.
Okay, but still having that
Yes,
homey feel.
yes.
Okay, great.
I don't think that's
That's a
too
good
much.
one. Anyone else? Nothing?
We have more paper.
We have lots of paper. No? Okay, that's fine.
I think Clay Animal Services
What about it?
and also Safe Animal Shelter. Because we're trying to be a no-kill county.
Okay,
I do a lot of volunteer work with both of them.
thank you. Yep.
And we don't always get to, but we're very close.
Okay.
And we're gonna have a new place over off of 220 before too long.
We are very excited about that, yes, thank you.
What was the second one you said? I'm sorry.
Safe Animal Shelter,
She said no kills.
they're a nonprofit.
I could keep going, because I love our community.
We still have a few more minutes, so you're more than welcome.
Our leadership,
In what sense?
that they're approachable and.
Approachable leadership. That's
My answer again.
very nice.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, Ryan.
One of the best places to raise a family.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else before we move on to the next section? Okay, Chris.
Just expand a little bit on the leadership is, I like the sheriff and her accessibility and the staff that she employs.
Okay.
She really makes it feel like a community that is really cared about by both herself and everybody that works with her.
Okay, thank you. Did you get that, Peyton?
She's like the people's sheriff.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
By the way, hi, Dylan.
And they're very approachable.
Thank you, Chris. Got it? All right, is that it? Okay, thank you very much.
Also, we didn't mention this quite yet, but as we are writing these things down, we are taking notes of what you're all saying. This is what we're using to document everything. So if you are saying something and you feel like we're not accurately representing that in what we're writing, go ahead and stop us and make sure we get it correct, okay? All right, we're gonna go ahead and move on to our big discussion that we're gonna talk about here tonight. And that is, from your resident perspective, what would you consider an important factor that needs to be addressed to improve the quality of life here in Clay County? Okay, so I'll give you a minute to think about that, and then we'll go ahead and get our discussion started, okay?
Can we use the microphones
So-
for this one?
Yes, we can use the microphones for this one. Okay,
As far as I
so,
can reach it, you guys maybe kind of work with me to get to the microphone.
so from your resident perspective, what we're discussing here is what would you consider an important factor that needs to be addressed to improve the quality of life here in Clay County, okay? And as we're all, before we get started on this discussion, just make sure that we are remembering our group agreements here tonight, okay? I think I saw Joe and then Paul and then Dana.
Need that if I talk loud.
Yeah, he wants to try to hear you on the desk. I don't know how far it's gonna stretch, so.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, if we move this chair,
Put the chair in the way.
there's only like a couple obstacles.
Our wireless microphone broke and.
Do you want me to sing you guys a song?
Yeah, if you want to go ahead, if you want to go ahead, Joe.
Okay.
Serenade us.
So the other day I was driving home from Jacksonville, and as I came through Orange Park, it was at 10 o'clock in the morning. And as I came through Orange Park, I was in a traffic jam that lasted to Doctors Lake Road. All lanes going south were absolutely packed with cars. And I know that we're talking about adding about 15,000 residents real soon around here. And we're not going to be able to move. We're going to be in such a gridlock that nobody's going to move. And that's going to affect all of our quality of life. So unless we can do something with the infrastructure to put roads, access roads, bypasses, something to deal with all of that traffic, it's just going to really be bad around here.
Okay, so the factor you're really talking about here is the infrastructure,
Infrastructure.
not the traffic.
Yeah, well, that's going to be part of it.
Okay, thank you, Paul.
I'm going to say the same thing that Joe said with different words, but just concern about unplanned or misplanned growth.
Ruth. Okay. We'll let her catch up and then we'll come to you. I give time for Troy to move around.
My statement's not far off from yours, but we live right across from Garber Automo on the other side of 17. And as this traffic grows, we've been cut off now by a private resident. That's his residence. I'm not upset with him. But you need to make sure that our children can safely cross that street in their vehicles and in their bicycles. And I think that is representative of a lot of communities here. As we are building this infrastructure to move 15,000 new residents, don't forget the small little neighborhoods and that they need to be able to safely enjoy the community.
I was just going to expand a little bit on what she was saying, specifically talking about the intersection of 209 and 17, where the racetrack gas station is. That intersection is becoming a major artery, if you will, for all the everything going down on Russell Road and Lake Asbury, Sand Ridge. Everybody that lives over there is coming over to 17, and that's the way they're doing it. So that intersection itself is becoming a massive nightmare, and for those of us that live on the east side of that intersection, getting out to that and crossing it, God forbid we want to turn left anywhere around there, there's no way to access it, and they were talking about that earlier, and that's just expanding on that.
Including our 16-year-old new driver.
Okay, so when we're thinking about improving that to improve the quality of life, like what are we specifically asking for?
It's just iterative of the infrastructure and trying to figure out with all this growth coming, we're already seeing the effects of, as he stated, either misplanned or unplanned infrastructure to go with the, that intersection in particular, especially around 4 o'clock in the afternoon, you're gonna be sitting there for quite a while. So yeah, that's just one place specifically to discuss infrastructure.
I just want to clarify what he's saying. We need a safe access to turn left with this traffic growing, and we need properly timed lights so we can put our bicycles out there and get to the Black Creek Trail, which our tax dollars pay for.
Before we go any further, there seems to be a lot of discussion around roads and infrastructure. So let's just exhaust this conversation kind of like while we're on it. So does anybody have any other thoughts or factors that they would like to improve specifically related to roads to improve the quality of life here in Clay County?
I live in Willow Springs, and I think the road is too narrow if they have cars parking on the street.
Can you talk into the
Oh,
microphone?
parking in the streets, I'm sorry.
Can you start over? He didn't catch any of it, I'm sorry.
I said, I live in Willow Springs, and the community, I think it's, when people are parking on the street, you can't go through, and I'm afraid that if there's a fire engine or hospital, somebody's, they can't get through.
Okay.
And they need also a stoplight or something, because it's gonna be bad pretty soon there with that new high school or grade school that's coming up there.
Okay. So when we're specifically asking for like what we want to see in the future, it's wider roads in certain residential areas.
I think she's targeting the new school at Willow Springs specifically.
Spring Park Elementary.
Spring Park Elementary,
Yes.
right.
Yeah.
I'll give out.
Okay. Yeah, there you go. That would be better.
While we're talking about roads and infrastructure and traffic and a little bit about environmentally, let's remember that we have gorgeous trees that are our legacy. And it's a shame, like around Penny Farms, when I go down 16 and see that 23 highway going across it, I wonder how long it's going to be before somebody gets out there on a Sunday night and takes down all the trees. That's how they do it in Louisiana.
So
You just wait until everybody's sobering up and they cut the trees down.
So specifically asking for conservation around the trees.
Preserve the trees.
Okay.
Make the road go around the tree.
So can we expand on that a little bit? Are you talking about for like road construction? Are you talking about neighborhood construction or saving trees in
Both.
both?
And I know I had my trees butchered recently, and they also crushed all of the debris and took out a lot of gopher nests. And I went on the warpath, a total unbelievable Irish warpath. So obviously I'm an animal advocate.
Thank you. Anything else related to roads while we're
Walter.
talking about this? I'm so glad you moved up. Thank you. It's
Is it
still
green?
not, no.
I can talk loud if you can hear me. No?
Can you hear him? No.
Bring the mic as close as you can to his face.
Walter, you come up here and sit.
Get you on the front row.
Walter, you know something about roads?
A little bit. We're talking about all the roads and infrastructure. Yes, that is needed, but I guess part of the problem that we have is at least 55% or more of us drive to Jacksonville. And so if we don't do something about that to try to capture the reason why, some of them go to the military base, that's not going to change. But we need to do something about how do we bring in businesses
Right.
that will keep the people here, and then with that, look at other mobility opportunities whatever the future holds, there's a lot of things changing. And you heard a lot about autonomous vehicles, you talk about electric vehicles and maybe different paths and trails and all that. So that's, how do you do all that? That's a long-term perspective.
Okay, so I'm hearing two things from you. Make sure that I'm hearing this correctly. Like alternative modes of transportation, and then also bringing businesses here for people to have jobs here in Clay County.
Correct.
Okay,
That'll help relieve some of the traffic problems.
okay. All related to roads.
There you go.
Attracting businesses, for jobs here in Clay County. Go ahead, Gilbert.
In trying to be somewhat solution-based, in addition to talking about things to be addressed, improving public transportation. While that's a problem, if we improve public transportation in whatever arena that might be, that would reduce some of the traffic that's out there and some of these things that we're relying on, and also may help bring some jobs to the local area.
What parts of public transportation would you say are in the need of improving?
Immediately what comes to mind is buses, but what would be, well, coming from the DC area, that have to be a regional thing, is if they started developing a metro system. I know Jax has been talking about it and expanding into areas, but that would be a nice little thing to have. That would cut down on some traffic as well. Or if you're from New York, it's a subway.
Anybody else related to roads specifically? Then we'll open the conversation back up to anything else. We'll just exhaust this one while we're in it. I'm stuck. Okay.
Probably back up.
Sorry, Mr. Klinsman.
The roads problem is something that's not going to be solved easily. As everybody has said, and we've all been stuck in traffic, which is bad enough, but what's worse is when it gets really bad, road rage increases, and you get crazier people speeding. I was going home one night from here on Russell Road, and it's mostly a double yellow line. And I'm doing 35, 40 miles an hour, and these guys don't want to wait. And there's a double yellow line, and they just pull right up and speed right by me going about 60. So you got the people problem. You got too many people in too small an area. So you can't just say we need more roads, because where are you going to put them? You know, somebody had brought up at the last meeting about, well, we need another north-south highway. Where are you going to put it? All the houses are in the way.
So
you can't put it anywhere.
What would you say you would
You
want
got to cut down on the people. You got to stop all of these housing developments, because it's only adding to the problem. And I don't know who's going to have the backbone to stand up to these developers and tell them, go to Putnam County.
So limit development is what you're asking for.
Definitely have to
Housing
limit.
development.
Huh?
Limit housing development.
Yes, because we don't have the infrastructure, and we never will have the infrastructure to make it better. It's impossible. You know, the 17 is built out as wide as it's going to get. Blanding is as wide as it's going to get. And this silly little highway that they're putting now, this concrete scar running about halfway through the county, is not going to help, because that thing, that was built for truckers. That was designed for truckers to avoid going through Jacksonville. But these developers think, oh, hey, there's a car, we'll put something there, and we'll put more houses and shops around it. That's not what it was designed for. It was for trucks to go around Jacksonville. Because where does it go? I mean, from South Clay County, you get on the 23, I think it is, and where does it go? It goes up to Baldwin. Who wants to go to Baldwin?
Okay. So you're asking for limit development to to help the
Limited
traffic.
development to cut down on all of the traffic, but we're stuck with what we got. It's not gonna get any better.
Okay, thank you.
So I have one more thing
Yes.
to add to this. So we used to live in DC, like my husband said, and one of the things, a positive thing that they did up there is they were very big on connecting the parking lots. And what that does is if I'm in this parking lot and I need to be in this parking lot right now, I'm forced to get onto the road because there's not a connection between, some of them there are, but there's a lot that are not. And when you create that connectivity, they even will have like little side roads that are kind of at the front of the parking lots. You may not be able to do that in some areas, but if you can get that to where this parking lot's connected to here, you're going to reduce some of the traffic on Blanding because I'm not forced to turn left onto Blanding to turn left into this parking lot. I would just be able to go back and from one parking lot to the other.
So increasing access between parking lots. to
Correct.
reduce road traffic.
Correct.
I know I'm just here to record, but can I just add something general that pretty much everybody touched on? It's general traffic safety.
Go up to the microphone.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's your rule, we have to follow it.
Just general traffic safety.
Anything specific to traffic safety or just road safety?
Everyone pretty much touched on it in one way or another. So.
Walking off on that one, just so we're clear.
Any, yeah.
I would say the recreational vehicles on the roads is starting to get a little bit out of hand with underage drivers. They're driving on the sidewalks and stuff like that. And I understand it's a cool thing to do for families, but when you see a whole family with UTVs and quads with no helmets on going down 315, it's just unsafe.
So reducing recreational vehicles.
On the hardball.
On the hardball?
Yeah, on like
paved roads.
Paved roads.
Give her a minute.
So not so much roads, but there's rail lines that go right through Green Cove and go up to Jacksonville. Is there any way to maybe exploit that for mass transit?
Okay, explore railroads for mass transit.
Yeah, not just the buses, but other options.
Perfect, thank you. Gosh. Here, I just gonna use
Now I'm gonna put them back here so that they can walk and get ready to go. If that works.
This was said at the other meeting, I thought, I don't know how plausible it is, but waterway transit. I thought that was a pretty cool idea.
You got a big river. You take all the way from Hackney down there.
Water taxis.
What used to be years ago.
Water tax, fast water tax.
anything else related to roads?
Not water.
Well, no, that is to reduce road. Do you have something?
I don't know if it's in this connect section or the other section, but the other thing, I know I'm going back to DC, I'm sorry, they have a lot of really cool ideas, is when you're in a neighborhood and you have two cul-de-sacs that back to each other, they consistently will put a sidewalk from one cul-de-sac to another, which puts the children with shorter walks to school. So it's kind of roads, but it's kind of a sidewalk, so put it where you want.
So finding solutions to make walking paths shorter?
Yes, and more enjoyable. The children want to play in the sidewalks, and we used to live in Oakleaf, and I will tell you that you can block them, but it doesn't work. They climb the fences, they go through the neighborhoods, the yards, and the solution in Virginia was just to connect them with a little bitty 5-foot cross sidewalk.
So creating access.
creating access, we should have access to all of our roadways, all of our enjoyment. Don't forget the pedestrians in your growth.
So, create walking, more accessible walking paths for shorter distances. Connecting neighborhoods and roads.
So the new,
I was trying to figure out if you were helping or.
Like outside the new developments, for them to have sidewalks. So like Willow Springs connects to Magnolia West, which connects to the original Magnolia and stuff like that. Because right now, that's where those people are driving, were right down the sidewalk, not the sidewalks, but the grass. If there was a sidewalk, maybe they wouldn't have to do that. And you would have other modes of transportation for more bike paths and stuff like that. Would also be awesome.
Okay. So in the new development specifically.
Sorry, as a new item, bike paths in new development? Is that what you want?
They did something similar to that over off of Henley, where the Winn-Dixie is, behind the McDonald's, that you can get to the Winn-Dixie parking lot from that subdivision without getting on Henley. And I think that was, and it's well done, it's attractive, and the kids can get on their bikes, and I call it Piggly Wiggly, but I'm old, so.
So she was just saying that, like, connecting the parking lots that we were talking about and also a walkway has worked.
And actually, cars can drive there. So if it's, you have a 15-year-old or a 16-year-old who just got their license, they could go to the grocery store in the car
and not
get on Henley Road, which is a bear to try to turn onto.
That's kind of what,
Yeah, so like put really, it's probably, one back there, but we'll put a tally mark next to it today.
Okay.
Capture that. Anything else related to roads before we move on? All right, I'll pose our original question and now we'll move on besides just roads and open it back up to a broader thinking, okay? So what would you consider an important factor that needs to be addressed to improve the quality of life here in Clay County? So what do we need to do to improve the quality of life in Clay County? Joe? Oh, yes, that's right. Forgot where you were.
I can talk really loud. I think we need a lot of green space. I think, if we develop all of these communities that we're planning and just fill them up with houses and don't put enough green space and parks and, all that, it all relates to, walking trails and stuff like that, but.
That was gonna be my question to you. What green space are you talking about specifically?
Well, it'd be really easy to develop a community that, like little hamlets, and then connect them by bike paths or walking paths or something like that.
So pocket green spaces connected by bike trails.
Right, and then the other aspect of that is it'll give all of this wildlife that lives around here that we're borrowing their land, it'll give them some place to be able to transit, safely without trying to cross 17.
Okay, so then it creates wildlife habitats as well.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Connected to a bike trail?
Yes.
If there's a way that we can mitigate developers from making their green space a walkway around their retention pond, and then having them say, this is our green space. I've been watching that on the county meetings, and it's like, you're supposed to have this much space for kids and people, to hang out at. They said, well, it's our walking space around the retention pond. I think they should have it to where they have to have green space besides what's around the retention pond.
Okay, so asking for more than just a walking space around the retention pond, other types of green spaces in addition to that.
I think it would be redefining the definition of green space inside of a development.
Okay, redefining green space inside a development.
something else. We live across the street from some Gustafson land that I pray it does not sell, but there are two nests of eagles, bald eagles. So my prayer is, and I don't know how to, get the federal government, don't want to involve anybody, but get the federal government involved to make sure that, if nothing else, the eagles are left unmolested. And that might create some space. But I don't know what to do about that. I mean, I rage it.
They're not protected by the federal government anymore.
They're not.
You're
They're not
asking
endangered.
for like specific creating or
But put some gopher tortoises in.
Right, well,
protecting the wildlife in areas.
yes.
Protecting the wildlife.
Because I know with me, I've lost all my chickens, but to the eagles, but I don't mind. Of course, the chickens didn't mind.
So protecting the wildlife.
You still gotta eat.
Are you raising?
Add one more thing, because we're talking about recreational spaces.
Yeah.
The recreational spaces are so important, but I think one thing we forget is our river. We need to protect our river, but I think one combined space that would give a recreational access to river. I mean, Spring Park's beautiful. You can walk, but you can't put kayaks and canoes or, like I think of the old Keystone Beach. You can get out there, you can have fun, you can have access. We have that because we are lucky enough to be on the river, but so many people don't, and I think the river belongs to the people.
So access for like water
Activities on the water, like water sports, that people who don't have the big boats and people who don't have the river can still get out there and enjoy that river.
Okay.
We call those little things targets.
Okay.
I'm going to say a lot of this falls under smart growth and not necessarily doing everything that's always been done in the past and looking at new ways of doing things.
Tell us a little bit about that.
So you could, in lieu of just building everybody's house and taking up the green space, putting around the ponds, maybe you do a little more condensed living facilities that are really close together, like the old New York and wherever.
So we're talking.
And then you would allow for more green space that are actually parks and recreational facilities, and then you tie that in with your transportation and alternative modes, and so you do smart growth and not maybe necessarily doing the way that things have been done in the past.
So less single-family homes.
Well, then you still have single-family homes, but it just,
Condensed.
it's just closer together,
Okay.
don't have as much of a yard.
Okay.
And then you have other areas that you do have a little more space. Then you also gotta consider that you need to have areas that are affordable to our people that can't afford larger places. And so you gotta have a well-defined and mixed housing.
A variety
A variety.
of different development patterns.
Condensed living for more green spaces.
Yep.
Okay. And then also affordable housing with mixed housing. Is that right?
Yep.
Affordable housing and mixed housing. Is that right? Okay. Great.
Something I thought of, and this goes back to my California days, not the DC days. And I wasn't old enough to understand how the whole thing worked, but think about community centers, like community park, community basketball things. Is there something that we can do? Because I know, the requirements for the new builders coming in, they have to do some green space, a certain amount of parks, but could there be a community thing that we could do that plays into this connectivity with all these neighborhoods, so we don't have, Cross Creek building over here and the Granary and all these different independent neighborhoods, like in isolation, they all kind of get connected and make it more of a community. I think that would be cool. And then another comment is they actually did do a kayak ramp in Spring Park, but whoever designed it obviously never had a kayak.
Yeah. What's your, show me your thing. Oh.
Sally?
Oh, going along with your community. Oh. Where I used to live, they had like, it was called the Central Park. And they had where they wanted to do volleyball for the kids. They wanted to do a walking facility for them and baseball. They also had a senior area too that also had the younger kids there, and you could walk around it, you could exercise there. There was a place for library, and there was also space and it was green. Everything was green around it, and I thought this is what we need here.
So a community center that focuses on all age groups, from children to seniors.
Yes.
Okay. So mixed ages.
Yes.
Okay. Any other thoughts or factors that we could use to improve the quality of life here in Clay County?
Get rid of the red light cameras.
Do you want that?
Personal experience.
Do you want that captured?
Yeah.
No. Okay.
Yeah, why not?
I'll vote for that one.
I have one more if we have time.
Oh, yeah, we have time. We have time.
So before COVID hit, I was working on opening a co-working space.
Okay.
And literally my grand opening was Monday before we shut down. But I was modeling a co-working space that's in Chicago, and it was a combination between business owners and the county. And it was done specifically because of some of the Silicon Valley companies that the founder was from Chicago. And because there was nothing in Chicago for that person to develop their company, they left and they went to Silicon Valley. And I think that's part of what Walter was talking about. If we develop opportunities for our children to see their bright future here through support, you're going to get those homegrown opportunities and businesses here instead of them leaving.
So more business opportunities.
Well, I can show you the Chicago working space because it's phenomenal. It goes from you have an idea and you don't know what your widget is all the way up to you're trying to grow to the next level.
And have a space for that.
And have a space for that. And it brings the colleges together, the business owners together, the government together, everybody. It's really good, and it just really helps develop our own talent that's right here.
Sorry to add on to you, Dana, but one of the problems that we have is that the business here in Clay County is retaining and attracting young. We need a diverse workforce, and part of that problem is that the county doesn't have really anything to offer them unless you get married and have kids and want them to go to school here, which is very good. So they're going off to live in the beaches or go living in the downtown Jacksonville. So we need to have a safe and vibrant nightlife here to keep them here. Green Cove Springs could be a great place with Walnut Street developing, but other areas like that, we need to keep them here as they graduate from school and college or wherever they're going to go, and they want to live here. Because we've got a lot of great things to offer.
So creating opportunities to attract the young generation to develop a more diverse workforce. Mm-hmm. One of your ideas for that is to develop a safe nightlife.
Right.
Okay.
I like the way you said that. Safe nightlife.
He said that. I did not say that. It's true. So if you haven't gotten a chance to speak and there's something you really want to say, we do have some more time, but I just want to make that space for you all to be able to share your thoughts. So any other thoughts related to what we can do to improve the quality of life here in Clay County? If you haven't gotten a chance to speak yet tonight, now's your chance.
I wish we had a Publix or something like that over here, or another Whole Foods or something.
So are you asking specifically for a public, or you're asking for like diversified options?
I would like to see, maybe diversified, but I would like to see a Whole Foods.
Okay, so like what about Whole Foods? Is like
I can go in there and get organic beef. I can go in there and get organic produce. other products that, you know,
So you're looking for more like organic, diversified types of foods?
yes.
Okay.
And something besides, you know, Chef Boyardee or Chef whatever. And, but Whole Foods is so far away. I just think that they would do well to come over this direction and get people from the other side of the river, but I just feel like whenever you pull out of like Magnolia Point Golf Course, you always go to the left. You never go to the right, which would be into Green Cove Springs. And we don't give them any reason to turn to the right. And so, unless they're gonna go to Winn-Dixie, but they just don't go to Publix, where it's a pleasure to shop. But I would rather see Whole Foods.
So more diverse options?
Yes.
Something like a Whole Foods. Does it have to specifically be Whole Foods?
Fresh market, something.
Any other ideas? Are you raising it?
Yeah.
I might have spoken enough too, but I want to say this. We're talking about a lot of things about improving the area that we live in and the things that we're going in. We're trying to attract all different cultures, all different income levels and stuff like that. But what you put in is what you attract, is what it comes down to. So when we talk about putting in a Publix or a Whole Foods, this is attracting an entirely different demographic, as opposed to like we want to develop downtown Spring Park and Walnut Street, but we keep putting in Dollar Generals and Family Dollar vape shops, and I mean, you're going to attract what you put in. So if we want this to be improved and attract all the things that we do want to attract, let's put in things to attract those kinds of things.
So what would that be in your opinion?
That goes along with maybe the safe nightlife stuff, the Publix, the Whole Foods, the Art Walk would be a good thing. Some of the just cultural things that will attract people to want to be here.
Can I?
Yeah.
Can I
Yes,
say-
please.
So I think that's where, to further that question, you said the Art Walk. So I think that's the question is, what kind of things do you think we should, from a county government or from a area, what should we strive to push for to attract those businesses, I think would be the question back to you. You said Art Walk, which I think is in that vein.
It is in the niche, and I don't know enough to say what these individual businesses would be looking for to
Right.
expand into this area, but it becomes one of those things when one or two businesses of a certain stature, if you will, go to a place, then other businesses like that will follow.
Yep.
It's like one attracts another, and right now, we say we want to improve Green Cove in District 5. She's gone. But we keep putting in these Family Dollars and Dollar Generals and vape shops. That's not improving or attracting the kind of stuff that we're talking about doing. So, I mean, as an example, what would a Chick-fil-A look like down in Green Cove? Or, you know, we've talked about Publix, Whole Foods, some nicer restaurants. You know, let's bring in the, you know, Lennox, Chili's, Longhorns, you know, whatever. There's a lot of stuff.
So
It's preference.
attract culturally diverse businesses and opportunities. Things like Chick-fil-A, Art Walks, what if you said
Back to the nightlife and the office.
safe nightlife.
We just don't want to be tacky.
Yeah.
We don't want to be tacky.
Right.
But to reframe it just a little bit, make sure that we're understanding you correctly.
Sure.
I think, if I heard you right, you would want the county to support things like an art walk or community cultural things that would set that tone for attracting other businesses.
Well, absolutely, and that starts with, you know, both Green Cove City and Clay County, and that you have to develop what you want to attract.
And that's what I was trying, I think, to help them kind of get it on the, it's promoting those cultural aspects that will bring those kind of businesses in.
Yeah, and then Dana added, sorry, are you gonna say that?
That's gonna also attract the young people. And I would not, I'm an artist as well, even though I repair appliances. And anybody that you ever talk to thinks of Green Cove as the art city, and we don't even support that as much. We do have a couple of things, but a monthly art walk or something I think would just be wonderful, because that would bring people down for Red's Bar, maybe to have a glass of wine after. And I think you're going to increase traffic for the businesses that are down there. And I think there's just a lot of value to that without necessarily growing it. You're bringing people to the businesses that are there. Yeah.
Thank you. Paul, is there
Okay, I'm gonna go a little out left field here. So we're talking about, 5 years is a short-term plan. What's 10 or 20 years out? You talk about grocery stores and different restaurants and businesses, but they're only gonna come here if the people are here. So how do you get the people here? So thinking long-term, so you talked about Ohio, or not Ohio, but Washington DC and California. I used to live in Ohio, south of Toledo, Bowling Green, Ohio. Had a university there. It was a state university. It was a very vibrant community. It definitely had its fluxes with kids coming in and going out, but that brought the people that then brought the businesses. So what kinds of things like that could be developed in Clay County that might bring that kind of people?
Okay. So thinking about what opportunities are creating opportunities for young people to gravitate here.
Right, not just young people, any people. The businesses are only gonna go where the people are, so you gotta get people.
So not specific to young people, but.
Yeah, I mean, I personally like university towns. I think they're great. There's a great vibe there.
To attract people. Are you finished?
Yeah.
Sorry. Was it you? I thought somebody had their hand up.
I did, but he pretty much said it.
Oh, okay. You sure? I'm not quite tired of you yet.
I don't know how to explain this, but like when we went through UF this past weekend, or down in Tampa, they had their communities of young people and the universities and stuff. I don't know if there's a way that we can, pull satellite schools or something like that into the county to make that type of element of success for the younger people.
Satellite campuses for other universities, being a host for those.
If nobody else has anything, I have something.
We can go to different. We have.
No, I'm sorry.
Don't stop.
Okay, so.
I own a small business and I have 5, 6 employees. And due to the lack of affordable housing here in Clay County, all but one of my employees lives in Duval. I spend my time scouring for available employees here in Clay County because my preference is to hire Clay County people. I can't find them. I try and I try and I try. But I end up hiring people in Jacksonville because even my second employee that did live here just moved out of Clay County because she could not afford the housing here.
So affordable housing. Is
You
what you're
need
asking.
affordable housing. You do.
Are you asking for a specific type of affordable housing or just?
Dynamic, affordable housing that attracts young people. How do you put that together? And I think that Walter's smaller lots, closer spaces, less is more. Apartments are good for the young people when there's something around the apartments to attract them. An apartment that's been popped up in the middle of nowhere with nothing, you are not going to get the young people.
Or you'll get the dregs.
Yeah. Okay, we'll go to Joe first.
Pam and I went to lunch this weekend at a little restaurant that we've been to, and it's been there for years. Well, they built a retirement home. What is that? Assisted living facility right next door to it. And the place was booming. It was so busy, and it was full of these octogenarians who were all raving about the restaurant and how good it is and how nice they are. You put it in an apartment, you build a couple of good, a Chick-fil-A, a good restaurant, someplace that caters to them. It'll be a booming business.
So we're asking not just specifically like for random housing. We're asking for the housing, but then also bring the things that will
You have to,
also
you have to
help
give them something else
to fill
besides the
housing.
house.
Correct.
Yeah.
So businesses and opportunities close to the housing as well.
Or green space.
Or green spaces. Something related to like businesses, opportunities, recreation. Did that sum it up?
Or both.
Yeah, all three is what that's kind of what we,
It's called an ecosystem.
How about a dog park? We have a lot of people, I see that in my neighborhood alone. And I think that would be good, a place for people to take their dogs. And it'd be close to an apartment, because an apartment, you can't have green space.
so increasing the opportunities for dog parks.
Community one, like a central one,
Yeah,
that way people can come and.
Yeah.
hang out
Like a
together.
centralized dog park, okay? Okay, if you haven't gotten a chance to speak tonight, I would go ahead and.
Yes, what about the peanut gallery?
Is there any other things that you have in mind that we could do to improve the quality of life here in Clay County?
I have a question related to that.
Write it on your paper.
Yeah. She's doing my job for me. If it's something Troy can answer later, since Commissioner Burke isn't here any longer, we'll do that at the end. We have plenty of time.
Okay. It was really more of, let's ask the young generation and
We're not supposed to be, yeah, we're not supposed to be biased. We're
and
not
the
biased.
officers, what do they see that in our community, or are they even allowed to speak?
So they'll get a separate meeting. So these are focused on community meetings. Then we'll go to quasi-government and those not in leadership positions. So we have a little method to our madness. So
Sure.
everyone will have a voice at a given time.
Is there gonna be a summary of all of this presented?
Eventually, yes. So we'll answer all these questions at the end. Let's make sure we're done with this conversation, but don't let me forget that. Okay? Okay. Any other things that we can do, any ideas, opinions you have related to improving the quality of life here in Clay County?
Well,
my wife is
not gonna.
You can be the voice for family.
My wife is not gonna speak these words, but unfortunately, everything we're talking about requires development.
Customers.
You have to have customers. Whole Foods isn't gonna open a restaurant in Green Cove because nobody will shop there, because they're gonna go to Winn-Dixie. Chick-fil-A, they're gonna go to the Burger King. You gotta have customers, and that requires development. And we've all said the same thing. We don't wanna overdevelop our community. So it's kind of it's a pipe dream to talk about all this stuff, and it'd be great, but hard to do without bringing in money and more people and more cars and more everything.
So in your opinion, like, how would you do that, creating a balance?
It's,
You really like those words.
I can give you an idea. We at Haller have a development that's coming right next to us. And the people that are developing it have an idea to build a community that's little hamlets tied together by green spaces and taking account of what the woods are and the environment around the area and trying to maintain some of that balance, but at the same time bringing in communities and development and businesses and all that kind of stuff. And if they can make their plan work, it's going to be wonderful. But it's going to be really hard. It's going to be really hard because,
So finding a balance between developing but not overdeveloping in something like smart growth.
Smart growth.
I'll have to say it. I want to see ethical development,
What is ethical to you?
where they don't cut corners with the wildlife, crushing all of the gopher tortoises and saying, we didn't see no damn gopher tortoises. Cutting down old growth forests ethical development, we can handle that. But these people who run these things, they don't live around here. That money doesn't stay here. It goes to East Jesus in California
So
somewhere.
you're specifically talking about like people who are developers?
Or China,
So
yeah.
like industrial developers, but then also like
Um,
residential?
mainly residential.
Mainly residential?
I, with industrial, they have at least OSHA and that kind of thing for an oversight. But I have watched, since my trees were butchered, I have gone out as a mission and documented and been all over wildlife and fisheries and been a pain in everybody's behind because I just the way I am. Peel my foot and tell me it's raining, I'm not going to go there. So the ethical development and smart growth, yes, we do need multifamily and that kind of thing for the people who are coming along, who become homeowners.
Multifamily homes?
We need apartment complexes that are beautiful, because no matter where you are on the financial spectrum, you still want beauty in your life. And Disney is a beautiful example of that. One reason you don't chew gum at Disney is because they're not going to pick it up, so you just don't have it. And they keep everything clean, and it makes people keep things clean. Back in Louisiana, in the industries, Dow, Exxon, all of that, they have a thing about keeping things clean because it stays clean if you keep it clean. The people there will keep it clean.
So what are you specifically asking for?
Ethical development.
And that's in terms of like wildlife, protecting the wildlife and protecting the environment.
And protecting the environment. And also considering the community themselves, the citizens in the community, instead of inflicting this development on us.
Protecting wildlife and environment and including citizens.
But sometimes they'll show up if they're powerful, and and I'm not saying anybody's padding anybody's pockets in Clay, but I'm from Louisiana.
I don't know if this is the right place. So one of the things you can, so in Duval, when the government gives money to one of these big developers by maybe not charging them an impact fee or giving them whatever it is, whether it's a commercial or a residential space, they have little caveats where they must hire a certain percentage of their budget of their building must be local Clay County, well for them Duval County residents, their businesses. So if you've got a $126 million project coming in, which I think was just announced, I don't know what the building is. I think it's roofing that's coming in there, but they're doing a roofing manufacturing. Then a certain percentage of that build out project should go to local businesses.
So creating requirements that businesses, or when you have a development project, that needs to be contracted to.
Especially when government money is given, whether it's in waiving a fee or in giving them funding to build here to attract them, you need to make sure you're supporting your local business in the process.
Okay, so specific to government. Yeah. Things that the government is building. Good idea. All right, we have about a couple minutes left. Does anybody have any last thoughts?
Yes, correct. To support local with the parameters and percentages trackable.
Also, it's somehow attracting not a sports team, but sports events, river triathlons, cycling events.
So big.
Something big. That will bring in a lot of business and let the people see, hey, this place is pretty rad.
Okay. Attracting big sports events. Okay. Not necessarily teams, but just ads. Go ahead, yes, please. Save me some stuff.
No, that's right. I just kind of to comment on the whole thing. At the end of the day, yes, especially in Clay County, there's a lot of people that do not want any growth. There's some that want, sure, bring it all on, and some that say, let's just do it right. But I think there's a general consensus, or perhaps it should be, that at the end of the day, we're not going to stop the growth. It's coming, whether we like it or not. It's just the nature of the way things are. And to go with what Walter keeps saying, I think what we're saying here is let's do it smart, and if we're going to grow, let's attract the people that we want to attract, put in the infrastructure to make this all work, so we don't, let's say, we'll hate it less, if that makes any sense. So we can maintain this small community feel like we've all talked about, because we've done this growth correctly and smartly and implemented all these things, and we've put things in to where we can attract all these things, but it's not miserable for us. But it is coming, we just gotta be smart about it.
Maintaining a balance, to be smart about how we grow. Did you have something, Rachel? No? All right. Last chance. One more thing, okay.
I appreciate you making me not look like.
You should have saw me last
Yeah,
week.
he's on round 2.
I will say, like last week, someone mentioned it, but being able to have good paying sheriffs, emergency people, so when this growth comes, they're not overwhelmed protecting and serving, and
Increased salary for first
What's that?
responders.
More red lights, I didn't say that.
All right, anything else? Going once? Going twice?
She moved her seat.
Okay.
I did.
All right, what we're going to do now is, we're going to give you both a purple dot, it has letter P on it, and a red dot, letter R on it, okay? The purple dot, and I will repeat this, the purple dot is, I want you to go to this back wall right here, it's gonna have these 5 sheets on it, okay? You are voting for, with your purple dot, the thing you would like to see the most. Okay, so purple, the thing you would like to see the most. Red is the thing that you could live without. Okay, so you're voting for, purple is the thing you would like to see the most. Red is the one thing that you could live without. Okay, and we're not done yet, so make sure you come back. This is not the end. Okay. Whenever you get your dots, you're more than welcome to go.
And
so,
that's just for those?
Yeah, just for those 5 sheets in the back. So again, purple is the one thing that you want to see the most. Red is the one thing that you could live without. And we'll try like to not take forever to do this. Yes, yeah.
I gotta get up here so I can read.
I'll bet. Cheers. Don't do 2 dots.
Smart growth. Smart growth. Any help?
Do you want me to?
Slower.
Here, if you send it to me.
Oh, not copy timelines. I thought that was about the red light. It is about the red light?
Yeah.
Okay.
Timing the red light.
Okay.
Well, no, I mean, is that up there?
I meant the one about that I keep getting a ticket for.
Oh, that's the, where was the red light camera?
That's Walter's.
Okay, again, purple is the one thing that you would really want to see. Red is the one thing you could live without.
I just saw it somewhere.
Okay? Let's take
Well,
about
if you don't
3
want the
more
red light,
minutes to
don't
get
put
that
that
done.
red thing on there.
Okay.
You want this
You can come visit me in Middleburg on Wednesday?
This Wednesday?
Yeah.
Oh.
We're doing this Wednesday in Middleburg. You come and visit me there?
No, but it's not a comment, it's not, you want me
Once a week is enough.
Okay. Ryan's gonna be there Wednesday?
I possibly, maybe I'll bring my brother.
Oh, there you go.
So get back to me and let me know how badly you missed me.
Purple is the one thing you really want, red is the one thing you could live without.
Oh, Middleburg.
Yep, Middleburg is Wednesday.
I went to Plum Island, because I didn't think I was leaving to be here.
No, probably free.
So it'll be Orange Park and Middleburg and Green Cove and.
Sorry, Mom.
So we did, we did Fleming Island last week. This week we are
You need to
doing
get Alex to come over here.
here, and we're doing
Put a P on there.
Middleburg on Wednesday. And then we have a week off. And then we're going to do Keystone, Oakley, and Orange Park. We do two in District 4 because of the size of District 4.
I used to do, when I had a really big real estate.
My husband is a pilot too.
Okay.
Yeah, air traffic controller.
Everybody wanted like free childcare, free lunch.
Take about one more minute to
Just
wrap that
outside
up.
of DC, Reston, Fairfax area. I lived there for 7.5 years. I'm Floridian, but I lived there for.
I'm a Southern California.
Oh, okay.
But I, Range Creek, Manga, Riverside, San okay.
He was Thousand Oaks.
Okay.
Yeah.
I raced against,
Yeah.
I don't want to
was in,
I don't care.
at Fort Myers.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why it's like, why do I?
Yeah, he loved both places. He spent the first half of his childhood
All right.
in California and the second half in DC. Came down here for college, met me, took me up there. And then we went to New Mexico for 2 years and then here. So, but seeing how the different communities work, I think is what's really.
I grew up in Southern California, and then I went to DC for 7 years. And then I went to Tennessee for 9 years.
Okay.
South Carolina and now.
What part of Southern California?
Cucamonga, San Bernardino, Riverside.
Yeah, I grew up in Thousand Oaks.
Yeah. My mom,
Take a couple seconds to wrap that up.
from there last year.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, for sure.
It's the same as
You found it.
What are you doing?
I thought there was a garbage can out there.
You would be sensible, wouldn't you?
Well, I'll go up to the bathroom.
Oh, well, they're not done.
I'll be right back.
Or you get your,
Okay, if everybody can find their seat really quickly, we're gonna take the next 8 or so minutes to wrap up. We're almost done. We're almost done. Okay, Gab started handing out a couple of things, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and tell you what those things are so we can go ahead and wrap up. But I want to remind you that you have this green comment card. Well, it's comment and question, okay? So you have questions, or you have some comments that you didn't get written down tonight that you want to make sure get written down. Yes, the green comment card. If you want a response to that, make sure that you are filling out the front half, which is your name, phone number, email address, okay? So make sure you're doing that if you want a response, okay? The next thing that we had given you is this quick survey to fill out, okay? Some things to note in it is we are going to ask for your email address on this last page, okay? That is asking if you want to stay up to date with strategic planning information. So if you put your email address there and you check the box right under it that says yes, then you will be put on a listserv and you will get updates about the strategic plan, okay? Another thing on this survey too, question 8 asks about your roles in the community. Are you a resident, business owner, those types of things? You can list multiple ones. Question 9, if you look on the first page, these are all of the people that we are planning to talk to, okay? Ideas of people we are planning to talk to in these types of like meetings, facilitated discussions. If you feel like there's somebody missing from that list or from ideas of people who you've seen tonight, you feel like we're missing, go ahead and write that down on number 9, okay? The last thing we are going to give you is this little sheet of paper. This one's blue. This is a QR code that will take you to the strategic planning website, okay? So if you don't want to receive strategic planning information straight to your inbox by putting your email address down there, you can take this and get the information when you want it, when you want to get it. There is another survey on this website, okay? But that is if you did not participate in a community meeting, okay? So if you have friends that want to give input that cannot make it to a community meeting, you can encourage them to fill out the survey that is on this website, okay? But you do not need to fill out this survey because you participated in a community meeting and did that survey.
So the survey that I did online
Yeah.
is one you're talking about?
Yeah, yes, it's fine that you did it, but you don't need to, is what I'm saying. But yeah, it's fine that you did it. Yeah.
Okay.
And then what you did here is more in depth.
Yeah, you could just say, and then do one down.
Yeah,
Go fish.
Good fit. Oh, man.
I'll find somebody else.
She's gonna go around your neighborhood handing them out.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Well, we don't both need one, I know
Yeah,
that.
figure out where.
Too many pieces of paper.
And then when you're done with those things, we are done with what we need to do here tonight. So we just want to thank you for being here with us and then sharing your opinions and really adding to what we hope is the strategic plan for Clay County at the end of this year. And so that's somewhat of our timeline too, is to be done with it by December. Okay? While y'all are doing that, just at the end, if you could turn all those things in to us up here, Gab and I up here, I mean, we'll take those, but we can turn it over to Troy if you have any questions that he could potentially answer.
Well, I'm gonna run through some of the things you guys talked about, just because some of these questions, some of the things you asked about, I could probably answer. So, Gustafson's property. Gustafson's property has already been sold, and that's in the city limits. So they've annexed that into this town into Green Cove Springs. So your concerns about the eagles, while we can take them down here as a conservation one, I would really encourage you to reach out to Green Cove Springs because they're going to control the development rights.
Is that on 16A?
On, yeah, Oak Ridge.
I'm on the loop behind Clay High School.
Okay, they didn't buy that property, that's still in the county, so we're good.
Okay.
So,
But Oak Ridge.
that's the one down by the fire station as you go down where the old Gustafson's farm is at.
Yeah.
They bought all that and it's annexed into the city. Conservation plan, a lot of people talk about conservation. The county is currently doing the conservation plan. It's being finalized. There'll be another 1 or 2 more public meetings about the conservation plan, and that'll actually detail out the county's approach to conservation. Red light cameras were mentioned. That's a municipality. Again, we wrote it down. It'll be part of our strategic plan, but the municipalities actually control that. The county can't put up a red light camera by statute. Only municipalities. They're controlled by the city. Wish. ATVs. We talked about driving ATVs on the roads. My sheriff's friends here will probably go to answer it. There was a statute that went through this year that addresses the age of those. I don't know where that, I know it got passed, I don't know if it got signed or not, but eventually there was.
I think it was, but was it dirt roads or paved roads also?
It was paved roads because it upped the age limit to, I think, 18 to drive one. 16 or 18, I can't remember which one it was. But if you put a note there, I can get you the information and make sure it gets sent to you. I mean, any of this stuff, if you still fill out the comment card and ask the question, I can send you an email with the actual specifics. Willow Springs sidewalk, the new school, there is a red light going in there. Well, we're actually out to bid right now for that red light and the turn lanes to be put in. So there will be turn lanes, there will be a red light, it'll all be done supposedly before school opens. Bus transportation, we just completed our JTA study. So we do have a mobility plan study that's being finalized. It's a 5-year plan, and I'm more than happy to send that to anybody that wants to look at it. It is again, work in progress, which adds to what we're trying to do here. And the last one is probably the biggest one. We talked a lot about roads. If anybody's not familiar with our bonded road projects, the 7 roads that we're building currently, I would suggest going to the county website or putting a note on there, we'll send it to you. The county's building 7 roads in and around Lake Asbury to improve the connectivity. They have to be built by the end of 2024 because that's when we bonded the money for. So one of them will be the connector from, I don't know if you're familiar with it, we talked about racetrack, right? So are you familiar with Cathedral Oaks Parkway? Cathedral Oaks Parkway is going to go basically from 17 over to Shadowlawn Elementary.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
It's gonna be 4 lanes.
Yeah, it's going to be 2
Which
lanes.
is gonna make it more difficult for us to get out on our side of 17.
On your side of 17, I cannot comment to that, but I understand what you're saying.
I don't mind the traffic, just make it safe for us to get across, that's all I ask.
Because you're on the east side of 17, right? So I think,
And we've been here first, right?
don't hold me to this, but there's some intersection improvements supposedly going on as part of this bonded road project. If you'd like, put a note down, I can get Richard to tell you exactly what's going to happen.
I talked to him already.
Or Ed Dindor. Have you talked to Ed Dindor?
No, I talked to Richard.
Okay,
and
you probably want to talk to Ed
Howard.
Dindor about the traffic signal because he's over our bonded road projects, which that would include.
What part of 17 is that Cathedral?
Cathedral Oaks is going from basically where, it's where the racetrack's at? I think it's where the race, I'd have to, yeah, it's where the racetrack is at, all the way through to Shadowlawn Elementary.
Okay.
I can give you, and if you have any other questions, feel free to write on that green card or email it 2 seconds or so.